Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today, before we get started, as per usual, we gotta start talking about our affiliates and sponsors. Visit gamertech.ca to build your own custom computers and so on. Get them shipped to your house within the day in Canada. It's a project that my friend and I worked on in college to as a website, and it's starting to click off. Use the promo code Nick to get a $25 discount on whatever purchase you make. Next, your boy has a sponsor now from Titan Athletics. Use the promo code Titan25. The information will be in the description, and you will get a discount on whatever purchase you make from their website for athletic gear. I will be promoting their products on my Instagram and my workout videos that come up in this channel. So yeah, today's podcast is going to be about strongman. I have a special guest here about talking about strongman and the sport overall. I've been a huge fan of it. But before we get started, I'll allow my guest to introduce himself. Tyler, do you want to give yourself an introduction?
Sure. My name is Tyler. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been doing strongman for about 3 years. Prior military service, I have a school background in fitness as well. I have an undergraduate at Bryan University. I've had that since 2018. But yeah, I compete in strongman. I train others in strongman. Just really do. I really do my best to be an ambassador for the sport. Um, yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah, I originally got to this sport like as a powerlifter. I didn't know much about the sport until I started watching the Oberst interview on the Joe Rogan podcast. And considering the athletic ability of you guys, like it's a really underrated sport out there. Yeah. As opposed to like powerlifting and bodybuilding, which like Arnold is like his pictures in every gym nowadays.
Yeah, even ours, we have one. Yes.
Yeah. So like just as a brief introduction for my audience, what is in your opinion or your experience, what is the difference between strongman, bodybuilding, and powerlifting? Or in general, what is the definition of strongman?
Right. So, strongman compared to powerlifting, there are a lot of similarities, but there are differences. I'm sorry. The biggest difference in the three of them that you just listed is probably specificity. With powerlifting, you have SBD, squat, bench, deadlift. You go into a meet, you're going to have 3 chances at 3 different exercises. You're going to have 9 lifts total in a day. So, and then bodybuilding, the specificity there is going to be physique. You want to put out the best physique. Me, I'm a potato. I'm not worried about that. In strongman, now you have some of those other two that are going to have a good physique, just because they're genetically gifted. And with strongman though, the specificity there is the variations of different lifts. Let's take deadlift for example. You have a deadlift in powerlifting. It's the same pick. It's going to be the same calibrated plates. It's going to be usually the same 20 kilo bar. In strongman, it could be a car. It could be an axle bar, which an axle bar is a fixed end bar. It's 2 inches compared to 1 inch. It has no knurling on it at all. You can set different. You have. Hold on, sweet. Come here. Yeah, let me introduce you to my daughter real quick. Come here. Everybody, this is Rosie.
Hey, Rosie.
Just say hey. She just turned 2 last week, and she's a bit of a firecracker. So, yeah, there's that. You want to say hey to everybody? Hey. Say hello. All right. You ready to go watch Toodles again? Okay, go watch Toodles. Oh goodness. Okay. Back to where we were. Thank you, by the way.
No worries.
Um, with the deadlift and strongman, you see different. Like I said, you have a car deadlift. You can you back it up on a frame and you pick up the car is usually as many times as you can in a 60-second time period. Then you have axle bars. You have different weights. You have wagon wheels that move it up to a 13-inch pick height. You have blocks, and you also have the silver dollar deadlift, which is an 18-inch pick, which basically puts it at the lockout point or not far off. We have a guy in our gym here that does an 18-inch pull. He's well into the 1100s at that height. So it's very intriguing to watch different variations in strongman compared to building and powerlifting and things of that sort. So yeah, the biggest difference in strongman compared to the other two are the specific details in each exercise.
Yeah, one of the like just as a reference for my audience, you said like he's close to 1100
Yeah.
pounds. That's close to 450 to 500 kilograms, like
Yes.
somewhere in that range. So
Uh,
like that's almost half of a ton,
right. Yes.
just as a quick
Yes.
reference.
Right.
So I know that you guys do have to have a lot of strength, but like as opposed to something like powerlifting, you guys also have an insane amount of cardio.
Yes.
Especially with like the plane truck pulls and plane pulls and stuff, yokes. The amount of cardio that you guys have to do is insane. How do you guys do exercises that in, influence both
Thank you.
um, strength and cardio?
So yes, that's a slippery slope because yes, you absolutely do want to be as strong as you possibly can, but it's because our exercise, some of our exercises are timed, our events. It's usually a 60-second time period when it's timed, and 60 seconds can feel like an eternity if you don't have a good cardio base. So it it really depends on what you're working on for specific events. If I'm training for a contest, say the Husafell carry. Are you familiar with the Husafell carry?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, well we'll talk about the yoke carry like you were
Yeah.
mentioned just then. Okay, so um, you to work on cardio, you want to possibly lighten up lighten the load a little bit. Say you have a contest with a 500-pound carry, you might want to go half that and go for maximum distance, just to just to get your diaphragm and your lungs used to carrying something for a large amount of time. So it you would train you would train endurance more than anything. Sorry about sorry about the dogs.
No worries. This is a very formal podcast, so the
Um,
more dogs and children that come on, the better.
oh goodness, mom's gonna be here in just a second. Uh,
No worries.
uh,
Um,
but
but
yeah,
yeah, so with all like this kind of training, I know that I personally dealt with injuries really recently, and this like you hear about all these guys like Robert Overs was saying like while he was doing like the Hercules pull like or like the I believe it was like I forgot the exact exercise, but it's like where you have to like carry two pillars. He tore his bicep halfway in.
yes,
So
the
like you
Hercules
guys
hold.
must deal
Yeah.
with like insane amount of injuries that hurt like crazy. How do you guys work on such injuries and get back into shape when they're like losing a bicep and getting it back on? That's a year of physio
Uh,
after
that's
like 6 months
usually
training.
yeah, that's usually 6 months to a year if you tear a bicep. Well, if you partially tear a bicep, you can it's not as bad. You can that can be rehabbed and it can heal on its own. But if surgery is involved, like if it's a full tendon tear, um, that's surgery and that's lots of physical therapy. That's 6 months to a year out. And if when it comes to using a bar or something like that, usually your safety squat bar is going to be your best friend. Um, One of the things that we try to use in our exercise in our workouts is unilateral work. We want to work each side, isolate each leg, isolate each arm. That really helps strengthen your tendons throughout. That it's good for having a good strong base for the some of the insane things we do.
Yeah, like when I was doing powerlifting, with all the injuries I was getting, one of the biggest things they actually told me to do was bone broth, lots of bone broth actually. Like I used to carry like
Mhm.
one of those gallon jugs of it, then collagen
Yeah,
pills and stuff because like our ligaments were taking impacts like crazy for
yeah,
high end lifts. So that's one
yeah,
of the biggest things they told me during injury time.
yep,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, so on that topic, I think we came into it was a beautiful transition. How does nutrition come into play for you guys? What
Well, it's usually goal specific, but there's a lot of similarities throughout the sport. A lot of people think strongman is fat man, and it's not. So, uh, yes, you have to eat a surplus to get strong, but being smart about the nutrition is the biggest part. Um, I can eat 5,000 calories in a day, but if I don't eat 5,000 good calories a day, it's not doing me any good because no matter what you do, you can't outwork a bad diet. And I mean, it's I'm very dependent on carbs because carbs carbs are where you get power from your big lifts. The first 10 seconds of a big lift, hopefully it doesn't last more than 10 seconds, but you're going to want those carbs, you're going to want those simple sugars that are going to hit your dextrose that's going to hit your bloodstream really quick and bounce you back, and something you can draw from quickly and effectively. I usually tend to eat a little heavier on days where I have to lift heavy. So I mean, you've come from a powerlifting background. Um, you know, rice, good lean meats, good vegetables. You just want to kind of hit the circle on your macros and your micronutrients and make sure you have everything. Um, but I usually tend to eat a little more towards a contest too. A month or two out, I'm really trying to make sure my body has what it needs to recover um, and perform.
Yeah, I don't know how much this transfers into strongman, but one trick during powerlifting meets a lot of the guys used to do between like huge lifts was they'd bring one of those like honey chews
Yes.
and like in between lifts like they used to like chug a little bit of honey and
Yeah.
go in for the lift.
I've seen a lot of them at contests use honey, Sour Patch Kids, uh, licorice, the pixie straws, the little pixie straws. That's just straight powdered dextrose. One of the things that I usually eat in between events, which strongman's, I've been to strongman contests that have lasted 9 hours, 10 hours at a time. It can be a really taxing day. Um, they have these. I don't know if you've ever seen them, the Smuckers Uncrustables. They
Yeah.
sell them in the frozen food section. They're little peanut butter and jelly rounds, and they're cold and they're frozen. They have a good amount of sugar, a good amount of fat, a good amount of carbs, and they're really good. And they hit your digestive system really quick, and you can get a lot of really good stuff really fast from them.
Yeah, so
So
like
yeah.
we're all about setting goals and everything, and also having accomplishments on this channel. So I just wanted to ask you, is your biggest accomplishment, you would say, or what you're most proud of in the sport so far that you accomplished?
So far, it has nothing to do anything with it has nothing to do with anything I've done specifically in a contest or my personal numbers or anything like that. But my biggest accomplishment, in my opinion, is helping grow the sport in my region. Because before myself, my friend that owns the gym I go to, he and I got together a few years ago. Um, and we started talking, and we both wanted very similar things for strongman in not just the state but the region itself. I mean, we held a contest here in Baton Rouge not a few weeks ago, but a few months ago, and we had people from Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama. I think there were a few people from Florida, Georgia, that area. So my my biggest accomplishment that I hold near and dear to my heart is that I become an ambassador for it locally, and I continue to be so, and talk to people and let people know, hey, strongman's for everyone. We can show you how to do it. We can show you how to do it safely. We can show you how to do it effectively. We can show you how to come in and enjoy our culture and have a really good time doing so.
Yeah, I think that's very important because when I was doing my research for this topic, I realized like the biggest competitions out there, like you got Brian Shaw, who's like 6'8", 400 pounds, and like this guy works out 6 hours a day. But if he wins World's Strongest Man, he's only getting $50,000 with all the
Right.
risk that he's taking. Where you got like other sports where the guys get like millions of dollars. And
Yeah.
then you got Eddie Hall, who the biggest accomplishment I've seen any athlete do. I compare it to like the 4 minute mile.
Yeah.
He lifted 500 kilograms off the ground,
Yes.
a
Yes.
full deadlift. Yet
Yep.
for winning that year's World Strongest Man, this guy got $50,000. Like imagine
Right.
Cristiano Ronaldo shoots a goal from his own net, and he only gets $50,000 for that World Cup.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's it's really hard to look at that from the outside in and see these guys put as much as they do into it. And you know, I'm not here to toot my own horn or anything, but I work a regular 9 to 5 and I make more than $50,000 in a year.
Yeah,
So, which those guys get sponsorships. And you mentioned Eddie Hall. If he never touches another barbell again, he will live. He will live off that 501 kilogram lift for the rest of his life, one way or another. And that's a great thing. I really think that the popularity increased with Hafthor Bjornsson whenever he became a regular on Game of Thrones. That really did a lot of that did a lot for opening eyes to the sport that people otherwise wouldn't see.
yeah. Like I've seen a huge like increase in the sport as an out with like Joe Rogan having the strongmen on, and then like it coming in, like a lot of these strongmen coming into mainstream, but still like there's like for soccer there is FIFA, but like several other splattering organizations. For basketball there is
Right.
the NBA and such, but like there's no actual solid federation for strongmen.
Right.
There are smaller organizations at the end of the day, like Arnold Classic, World Strongest Man, that like the smaller ones, but like there's
Right.
no defining organization for strongmen. Then the
Yes.
athletes aren't as well treated as the other organizations or other athletes are. So like
Right.
it's a huge bummer in my opinion.
Uh, it continues to improve, but for as long as the sport's been around, the strongman is rooted in old circus days, and turn of the century, and it was a sideshow for a long time, and then someone in the 70s had an idea to hey, put a group of these guys on TV and match them against each other, and that became World's Strongest Man. And that was the thing for a very long time until, like you mentioned, Arnold Schwarzenegger became involved, and he started doing his own thing. And they do powerlifting, they do bodybuilding, they do strongman, they do CrossFit, they do a lot of things under that same roof in that festival every year in Ohio, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing because mm, the first place the first place winner there does get paid just a little bit more, not much more, but it still pales in comparison to your LeBron James or your Tom Brady or any of those top of their game athletes that are making millions of dollars, like you said.
Yeah, and like another thing is like the injury that these guys go through, like tearing their backs. Like I did mention, like off air, I believe. I think it was Rob Kearney. I think he
Hmm.
started off the sport at 6'3", and now currently 5'11". On the podcast, I swear, like I'll link that specific podcast where he talks about it. And I'm like, no, there's no ordinary in no other sport other than MMA where you lose 4 inches off your body due to injury.
Right. Yeah.
And when these guys are literally putting their body out there, I expect the sport to grow at that same
I, w-
rate.
I would I would draw a similar comparison to MMA because for a long time, until Dana White purchased UFC, those guys were the same way. They put their bodies on the line and they really, really trained hard for not a lot of money, not a lot of
Yeah.
money. But
So yeah, we talked about the past a bit. What expectations or goals do you have set for the future that you're looking to accomplish?
so for me personally, it's me personally plus like I said, I'd like to continue to be an ambassador for the sport. I want to see the sport grow in this region. I would like 30, 40 years from now this sport to be what it deserves to be and my name be mentioned among the people that made it happen. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's a very honorable thing to do for the sport, especially based off of what we talked about. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely need
Uh,
to thank you for that.
yeah. And, I also, um, I, I'm a budding personal trainer as well. And, I've trained a few people in an informal setting, but increase my, I would like to increase my footprint as a strength trainer and things of that sort. I'd really like to, I more than anything, I'd like to take, your local high school athlete that could use a little extra work to, break the starting lineup for their football team or, put a little more power on their swing in baseball or something like that. I'd like to take them, bring them in, train them properly because I know whenever the first time I ever touched a barbell was in football, in high school football. For me, that was 20 years ago. And it wasn't, knowing what I know now, it wasn't correct form. None of it was right. And it's a lot of that still is still part of team sports even to this day. And I'd like to take a high school level athlete and show them the proper way. And that I'd like to do that so much that it becomes an adopted thing in this area that, hey, this is how you do it. It's the right way. Um, we need to send our kids to this guy because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge thing because like I go back to my high school days when I first started lifting, and everyone that taught me was a drinking Chad or bro Brad, and like and let's just say their form is almost as bad as their math skills, and it was not the best
Uh,
thing. So like
oh
definitely
man.
introducing it to kids in high school where they need all that self-confidence, good form, a good body, good athletic skills
Right.
is probably the best thing. Another point, in high school, like you can literally sleep upside down, like in yoga poses, nothing will happen. The moment you hit 25 to 30, you're going to start feeling every bad choice you
Oh,
made back in high
absolutely.
school.
I'm 35 now, and I feel it every day when I wake up. I sure do. Yeah.
That goddamn broke drinking Bradford.
Uh, they only do They only do ego lifts. That's all. Ego
Yeah,
lifts all the time.
but yeah, thank you for coming on. I hope that everyone now that listens is a bit more interested in the sport. I'll be
Absolutely.
putting up links. I'll include some of your gym information and all that, a way they can contact you if they have any
Okay.
questions about the sport itself. Hopefully
Sure.
we can do this again. This was really interesting for me.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. I've got my some social media handles uh, scribbled down on paper. Can I just like
Yeah, go
bring them
ahead,
up
shout them
here?
out.
Okay. All right. So, I don't know if you saw it in the Discord, but me and my buddy that owns the gym, we're starting a podcast as well. And
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna do our best to combine strength sports, which is what we're here, and nerd culture. So um, for anybody out there that doesn't know, I'm a big Star Wars fan. Um, all the animated series, all the movies, even the bad stuff's good stuff to me. That's another topic for another time. But yes, I've got my personal handle, my gym's handle, and the podcast handle. So here we go. I'm going to bring it up. So, pause it, type them in on your phone, do as you wish. There we go.
all right. That stuff will be in the description as well
Okay.
of
All
the
right.
channel.
Okay. I can shoot you an email or a message. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, follow those if you don't mind. And if y'all have any more questions, reach out to me. I'll talk about this stuff anytime, anywhere. Um, one more thing, pertaining to the sport of strongman, everybody is very down to earth. So I'm no different. Um, I'm just old country bumpkin that just happens to pick up things. So
It's all that farm boy strength.
yeah, farm boy strength. We'll go with that. All right. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure and honor. And um, man,
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. So hopefully, guys, check out our links. Check out the description. We'll have all the information, and please go check out the affiliates. I'm still helping out my guest Bella with her treatment. So whatever affiliate links that you guys do buy, I will be sending the cash to her. All right, guys, take care.